Hey, all you cool cats and kittens. No? Okay.
Hello, and welcome to the Pixel Perspective Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Adrian, and here's your other host,
JJ. Hi.
Hi, JJ. We have a fun topic to discuss today.
Yeah.
We're talking story versus gameplay. This is a topic I didn't think when we announced it, when we talked about it, I didn't think I would have a lot to say on it, but in the past month, I've been pondering a lot. So I've come up with a good theory that fits my play style. So I'm ready to go with that. But before we get into that, hey JJ, what you been playing?
I haven't been playing like a ton. I did finish my list of 20 games for the year, and I'm super stoked about that. So I'm gonna do a video series where I'll do like 2 videos where I just do short little rapid fire reviews on each one, except for ones that I've done reviews. Speaking of which, my Dark Souls Remastered review is finally out. Thank God.
It's so good too, man. I have to give you huge props. I already did, but officially on the podcast, that video is awesome. It's one of my favorite ones that you've done thus far, and I highly encourage everybody to go check it out. If you're an audio podcast listener, go check out his channel, Game Room Revival. Look for that video. It's really, really well put together. Good job.
I appreciate that. But I'm still a little irked about what I don't know that I said it on the show or anywhere, but I told you about what happened, and that I lost like 85% of the footage that I shot. For recording, and so that's why it took so long for me to get it out. I was just devastated when all I had was the first couple of places that we went to, and that was it. I mean, granted, it was about 2.5, 3 hours worth of footage, which is still plenty, but it's still the same kind of environments and that kind of thing. So what I ended up having to do was splice it with trailer footage from the actual game itself. So I did what I could. I'm happy with the text and the dialogue and stuff in there. I think that turned out well. But yeah, I was just heartbroken by the footage, and that's why it took so long to get out, because I was just like, it was just demoralizing. So
honestly, I only noticed a repeat footage probably about halfway, but it didn't bother me. The footage is just there to give you something to look at while you're giving your review. I was more into your perspective of the gameplay and everything, and it's all things that I've heard from you before, but it was very well worded and put together. And one of the things that I really appreciate about your reviews that I think is lost on other review channels is the fact that you approach it from a conversational perspective. So you have a really well written out script, and you're talking about your experience with the game, not necessarily the technical aspects of the game, that people tend to get hung up on. A lot of people are they get stuck on frame rates and, other things like that. And those are things that, while yes, they can be detrimental to a gameplay experience, they're not typically something that bothers me. If I'm into a game, I'm into a game, and I can overlook things like that. I want to know how your experience with the game was, like from start to finish.
What's in your head?
How exactly what's in your head while you're going through it, and that's how you do your reviews. And I really, really appreciate that, and I think that's what makes it special.
That's high praise. That means a lot. To be fair, I know that there are people who do look at things like frame rate and specs and how well a game is presented as well, and that is stuff that goes through their head. So that's just not, like you said, that doesn't necessarily ruin a game for me. I mean, I'm sure if you could point out a game that is absolutely terrible on frame rate and is damn near unplayable, and I'd probably be like, okay, well, yeah, obviously this is ruining it for me. But little tiny graphical glitches. One of the games that I just finished, the new Paper Mario.
You already finished it?
I did. Yeah.
Wow, dude.
I really wanted to get to Ghost of Tsushima. But I there was some frame rate issues in screen tearing in that I noticed in Paper Mario, that
Yeah.
happened a few times. But it wasn't like, I agree 100% with what you said last time when you were describing it. Like, I appreciate the whole game, the game as a whole. Like, the environments are gorgeous. The freaking aesthetics are just so amazing. I really, really love all the places that I went to. Even the mini games, some of them were goofy, but they were, a little fun. That battle system, though, man, it just wears on you after a
It does.
while. And the boss fights, like, you get to a point where you're already in the fight for like 15, 20 minutes, and you're like, if I die now and I have to do this all over again, and
Yeah.
you just end up, I ended up just in some cases just being like, I'm just going to look it up on what to do because I don't want to have to sit here and go through this whole thing again because it's just tedious and I am just not enjoying myself. But then when I would get back to the exploration stuff, and that I had a blast again and it was great.
That's where
So
that game excels, though,
yeah,
is the exploration. I love finding the toads. That's one of my favorite parts of that game.
absolutely. Yeah. And then, like I said, Ghost of Tsushima is what I've also been playing, and I think it is quite possibly the best looking game, at least the most beautiful game that I've ever played, hands down. It is drop dead gorgeous. I'm also a big fan of like feudal Japan, the aesthetics,
Yeah.
and just the things that they do with like the fields of flowers and the forests and just the bamboo in random places popping up, and then like the cliffs, and oh my god, it's just so gorgeous, absolutely breathtaking. It is the perfect game to incorporate that photo mode which they have in there.
Yeah.
And I cannot recommend it enough. The gameplay itself is honestly, like, it's made by Sucker Punch, but it's pretty much like anything you'd find in any Ubisoft game. You're going to be doing a collectathon, and you're going to go find places that you can warp to and explore a giant map, and kind of do tasks for people here and there. And it's fine. It's addicting. I'm like, I will probably have the platinum trophy in a couple of days. We're recording this on, what day is this? The 23rd of September. I will have the platinum here by this weekend.
Wow.
So I have been, yeah, I am enjoying the hell out of it. And a lot of that is just due to how it looks. It's absolutely beautiful. And I like the characters. I like the story, and yeah, can't recommend it enough. Definitely check it out if you haven't tried it yet. I guarantee you it's going to eventually be one of those games that's going to be a budget title. It'll be super easy to find
Hmm.
and cheap at some point. So if you want to wait, that's fine. But definitely at some point, give it a shot.
I definitely want to check that out. I am waiting for that price cut. I just don't have time for it right now anyway. I know it's one that's going to take a lot of time. But I do appreciate, as you know, I really, really appreciate good art style. And
You'll love it.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I've been hearing a lot about that game in particular. Like you think it's even better looking than Death Stranding? Death Stranding to me is one of the best looking games I've ever played.
So yes, but that's why I kind of like changed my wording to beautiful, because while yes, Death Stranding is breathtaking and gorgeous to look at, a lot of the environments are very, very samey,
Yeah,
and kind of like, you're granted it looks immaculate. You're still kind of looking at the same mountains and broken down roads and buildings and the black slop that's all
that's
over the
true.
ground,
Yeah,
no matter where you go. This has, the snow environment, the forest, the wide open fields, the oceans, the rivers, the towns. I mean, it's oh my god, it's so good. It's
a lot of
so
variation.
good. Yeah, it
Yeah,
really is just absolutely beautiful. Play it for the aesthetics alone, honestly.
yeah, very cool. Um, I've also been still playing Sekiro here and there. That game is also really, really pretty. It's a darker game, obviously, but it's the graphics are still hold up really well, even in comparison to games that have been released this year.
Yeah.
There's still I'm getting to new areas and being blown away by the environments. It's just a really good looking game. Oh, it's a brutal game though. It's a brutal game. It's one of the hardest Souls games. I classify it as a Souls game. It's one of the hardest ones I've played.
Yeah.
I was stuck on a boss for about an hour the other day, and I just tried over and over and over again. And each time I would get a little bit better, and then I would get worse, and then I would get better, and then I would get worse. And it's just I almost just had to get lucky to beat this boss, and I did, and it was immensely satisfying. So Um, is that all you've been playing for the most
Um,
part?
for the most part, yeah, I did get a chance to get out to Pink Gorilla Games in Seattle, if that counts.
Oh yes. Tell me about that. I haven't heard. I mean, you've told me in text, but how was that
My
trip?
latest video I released as well, where I talk about the PlayStation 5 showcase that just came out. I also
Mm-hmm.
did some recent pickups. I talked about my trip out there, and so it's a game store. It's like, you're gonna go in, you're gonna see video games on the shelves, and if you've been to a game store, you kind of know what to expect going in. The big difference though between that place and every other game store that I've been to, well, not every other, there's a few that still do it, but especially at conventions that we've been to, some of the places are like that. What makes them stand out for me was the amount of care, attention, and respect that they show for all these games. Even if something's like disc only or like in horrible shape or something like that, they will clean it up, they will bag it up in its own little package, put it nice and neatly on the shelf for you, and hang everything really, really just in a really, really nice looking way, alphabetically, um,
Yeah.
in its place. And they just really, you can tell they genuinely care about the whole hobby and everything that goes along with it. And they appreciate collecting. They appreciate video games in general. They appreciate the history. It was just really, really cool to see that. And my amazing girlfriend we went to one location and I got a couple of games, and then we had a few hours to kill, and she goes, well, don't they have another one? I was like, yeah. And she goes, well, I mean, do you want to just go there? I was like, what? If you want to. She's like, yeah, that's fine. Okay. Yeah. I was like, oh, hell yeah. So we got to go to both locations. So I bought stuff at both locations. Of course, I should have brought it up with me, but I have a pink plushie as well, the pink gorilla one. So had to get one of those.
That's cool.
But yeah, I got a few pickups. You go to my channel, you see my recent pickups video. You'll see all the
Yeah.
stuff that I got. Yeah, it was cool. I
That is
really just loved it.
that is very cool of Amanda. She sounds like a definite keeper. Anybody who can support your hobby is very, very good in my book.
She's been great. Yeah.
Coming from my Amanda or Amy. I think that's funny. My wife's name is Amanda. She goes by Amy. But she's super supportive of the hobby as well, as you well know. Going to Retropalooza, she's just,
Yeah.
she lets me do my thing, and I love that. So yeah, besides like going to the store, and actually I was gonna say, have you seen them when they go on Twitch and they start selling things on Twitch?
Yep.
Yeah, so I have a pretty good understanding what their store looks like, and it is pretty cool. I could say definitely when you go into a retro video game store, at least around here, they're not really in the best of shape.
No,
Everything's just
they
kind
get
of thrown
stuff. They're
about.
like, okay, well now I have this game, put it on the shelf. Okay, slap a
Yeah,
price tag on it. No, these guys, everything is in like plastic wrap and hung up on the wall.
yeah.
Or if it's more expensive, it's going to be in a case. I bought one case game, and that was Super Mario Strikers on GameCube.
Oh yeah, yeah. There is one place in Tulsa that it's called Thrill House Games. He the owner there does a really good job of taking care of the games that come in.
Cool.
Everything you'll find is in good condition, and like you said, it's wrapped up. He'll even put on the expensive games, he'll put those plastic box covers on them to make sure they're kept safe.
Nice.
Yeah, it is nice. How was Seattle?
I loved it. I thought it was great.
Is it as beautiful as it appears to be in videos and pictures I've seen?
I thought so. I was blown away just by all the stuff there is there. Like you hear about like the Space Needle and places to go whale watching and for us Pink Gorilla obviously. But beyond that, you don't really hear. At least I haven't heard too much about the city itself, other than, oh man, it's a really cool place for hipsters and stuff, and that was about it. Which is true, definitely is. But like they've got some really cool like markets that you can go to and just walk around. You can watch people like make cheese and chocolate, and we went whale watching. We did the Space Needle, obviously. We went to a couple museums. We went to this giant wall of gum that was like literally an alleyway where people had taken gum out of their mouth and stuck it on the wall, and it was just covered. Oh, it was so gross, but of course we did it too. but it
Man,
was, yeah.
spreading that corona.
Yeah, I know. I do. Well, Amanda came prepared. She had gloves with her, and what's funny is like she's more of a germaphobe than I am. And she dropped dropped her gum on the floor before she put it up on the wall. And when she picked it up, it was like, oh, I don't even want to describe what was on it. But I was like, you're really gonna touch it? She's like, well, I have gloves on. Just went for it. And I was like, okay, all right. And then of course she put yours next to mine. I'm like, oh, I have to get close to it anyway. Dang it. It was gross, but yeah, it's fun memory. And yeah, I honestly, I would love to go back at some point and do more. The food was so good. Like
Man, those
so
pictures
with,
you posted, that was some fancy looking food.
well, so I'm gonna flex a little bit here.
All right.
Because we hadn't, she's come out here to visit me, and I've gone there to visit her. She lives in Georgia, for those that don't know, and I live in Kansas City. But we've known each other since high school. We just started dating this year, and she, we've hung out and like we'll order food in, or I'll make dinner, or she'll make dinner, or something like that. Because with the Corona stuff, we kind of just didn't want to risk it, especially back then when things weren't open. It was really tough to do that. So while we were in Seattle, we were just like, screw it, we're gonna do it. So we actually got to go out on like our first real date. And technically two, because we went out to dinner one night and out to dinner the next night. And both nights ended up spending like close to $200 on dinner just because we wanted to go all out.
Yeah.
And thankfully she paid for one of the nights, and because I was totally willing to. I was like, I got this. No, she's like, shut up. And so she just grabbed it and did it. And I mean, we did the whole 9 yards, man. Appetizers, just big fancy meals, and dessert. And both places were things that I wouldn't normally eat. I'm not like super crazy into like seafood and fish. I love shellfish, like shrimp, lobster, that kind of thing. But fish in general, not crazy about. I ended up having some sea bass. Phenomenal. It was so good. And the other place, Thai food. Never been a huge fan of Thai food, but the pad Thai I had there, man, I would go back in a heartbeat. It was so good. So sorry. I know that's a total tangent. It has nothing to do with video games at all, other than the Pink Gorilla part. But I was really excited, and I had a really good time. And so she's actually coming here next week again. So she'll be here for a few days.
Awesome.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, dude, you know me. I love food. So whenever we go anywhere, my wife and I, we definitely try to hook up on some cool places to eat. And it looks like you guys found some nice places.
We did, yeah, and that's one of the things that she was excited about when I first invited her, like early on in the year. Well, early on in the summer, when I was like, when we go to Retropalooza, we try to find restaurants we haven't been to before that are just out there, and we have no idea what to expect. And then we go in and try it, and it's always just a lot of fun to do that. And she was so excited to do that because she loves trying new foods and all that stuff.
Oh man,
and so it was really
such a bummer.
Yeah. So next year, hopefully, we'll get to be down there with you and do
that.
So.
Now I can't wait. That's like, to me, that's on par with going to the convention. Is just going to these restaurants and hanging out.
Oh yeah,
man. I love it.
It's great. Absolutely. Yep, for sure. What are we talking about? Well, what have you been playing other than?
Well, okay. Again, I've been playing a variety of things, as I do, but
as you do.
Some of the main things here that I've been playing. Let me find my notes. Of course, my notes did not translate from my phone to my computer, so I got to pull it up on my phone. Okay, I can tell you one game I've been playing for sure is that Paper Mario game still. I'm still stuck on that. But I've also... So shout out to my brother-in-law, James. He hooked me up with Avengers on Steam. He gifted it to me. So nice. I've been playing that. And that's an interesting game, man. I enjoy the gameplay of that quite a bit. It's very...
I'm told it's very grindy.
It is very grindy, and it's very Destiny inspired. Like, there's, I mean, the game is, the first chunk of the game, when you start playing it, it seems like it's going to be a Spider-Man-ish type of game, right? And then you get the ship, like the Avengers ship, and then you start choosing locations that you can go to. And then from there, it just goes straight into like a Destiny style game. You can have people join you while you go to these areas, and they'll play with you. You collect loot. The loot is all things that improve your stats, so it's not really aesthetic things like it is on Destiny. It really doesn't make sense in a game like this to be collecting loot. I think that's something.
Yeah. Oh, that was odd.
It feels off, and I really don't care about it at all. So, I mean, that's not why I'm playing it. The other thing is when you go and you only have like 9 slots to hold your gear, maybe more. I don't remember how many, but it's done exactly like the menu in Destiny, where you have all your gear, you hover over it, and then you have the different slots of items that you can equip. And then once that particular item slots is full, you have to like break them down for the materials.
Interesting.
And it's handled exactly the same way. Like, it's so weird. So the Destiny similarities don't stop there. There's several other things that I thought it's exactly like playing Destiny. It's fine. It's a fun game. I enjoy the co-op aspect of it. It's cool. Like, it's jump in, quick play type style. And it's a fun game. It's a good looking game too. Hulk is my favorite character in that game. He just obliterates everything. It's fun to play as him.
I heard he's tough to play indoors.
I don't think so. I haven't really had any issues with him. He's just got so many area of effects type abilities that, he's pretty powerful.
I'll wait till you're done.
Is it about Avengers? I'm done with it.
It is not about Avengers, no.
Okay.
I just remembered something else I've been playing.
What's that?
A game that you bailed on me on.
Oh, yes. That was actually going to be my next game. Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles.
Just saying. I'm on year 5.
I'm still on year 2.
Oh, my gosh.
I've got some... I don't really like that game. I'm trying to like it. I really am.
I could tell when we first started, yeah.
I feel bad because I haven't been like, hey, let's play Crystal Chronicles. It's just like, let's play Crystal Chronicles.
I mean, I still played either way, so it doesn't bother me anything. So
the biggest issue that I had with that game when we started playing, there was a few things. The biggest thing is, like, I found it really confusing to figure out. There's no simple menu system or anything like that. The overworld map is confusing. The way that you have to accomplish certain things is weird. I mean, it's one of those games that once you figure it out, you're good, but getting to that point is a little bit of an annoyance.
In the game's defense, you did skip the tutorial.
I did. I absolutely did. But would the tutorial have...
Yeah, it was mainly for combat.
Yeah, right. And I think the combat is pretty straightforward. It's the other things in between that's not. Sure. The other issue that I have with it are the load times are so long. It's already kind of a slow game, I think. And when you slow it down even more with extreme load times, it kind of takes me out of it even more.
Yep.
The other thing that I don't really care about is it's kind of boring. I don't really find it to be challenging. I mean, it can be. There were some areas where there was a little bit of a challenge, but for the most part, you just spamming buttons to attack people, which generally works out fine. Like, I think of it like Diablo. I think Diablo handles that kind of repetitive stuff really well, but Diablo also has the draw of loot. So you're constantly gathering things to improve your character, and you see this visually. Crystal Chronicles doesn't have anything to really make me want to continue forward. You know what I mean? There's no carrot on a stick, basically. So other than that, the best thing that I like about it is that it's a very casual co-op experience. So if you just want to go on there and shoot the crap with your buddies or whatever, it's good for that. But the other issue that I'm having with it is I opted to get it on the Switch, and Switch doesn't have voice chat, so you have to find a workaround to do the voice chat. And when we played it, we had to do it on the PlayStation, although I could do it on the phone or something like that. So it takes away, like, usually if I want to play it, I want to come sit in my bedroom or something and play it. So I have to go sit in the living room and play it on the PlayStation while having the PlayStation on. It just, there's more barriers there. But on the positive side of this game, I think the way that they've handled the multiplayer experience is really well done. So it's cross-play between, or cross,
More
not
games need
cross-play.
that.
Yeah, like you can play, like I was playing with JJ, who was on the PlayStation 4, and I was on the Switch. I only bought one copy of the game, and Amy, my wife, was able to play it with us as well on her Switch. So we were, and she didn't have to own the game to be able to play with us, which is another huge bonus. So it's doing everything it can to try to make the co-op experience, what this game is known for, as accessible as it possibly can. And I really appreciate that about this game.
Yeah.
So that being said, though, I do want to get back into it. I feel like I could get back into it if I start seeing a little bit of progression as I'm carrying through. I'm only
on super strong,
so
anytime you need help, you just let me know. I'll hop on. It's all good.
I'll jump on.
I still jump on and do like a level every other night or so, just to try and get a new artifact or something like that. So
that I definitely will hit you up then. I do appreciate being able to at least hang out while we play that game.
And it's not something that, like, for me, it's purely nostalgic. Like, the game is not going to win any awards. It is not one of the best games ever made at all. But I have some amazing memories just playing it with my buddies back in the day on the GameCube with the 4 adapters and everything. It was just a blast. Yeah. So when I found out it was coming out, I was super excited for it. And, it's a different experience now. Absolutely. But, for me, because the game itself holds those kind of memories, I'm having a good time with it. The cool thing about it, for me at least, is because it is so casual and because at least the combat is so simple, you can take a week off, 2 weeks off, a month off if you want to, come back and you'll be fine. Just, hopping right back into where you were, just go do another level, try to get another artifact, or, fill up your chalice or whatever. And it's not going to matter how much time you take off because it's so easy to pick up and just, play again. So
yeah. Well, I'm definitely ready to get back in there with you, and I will make time for that. I think the multiplayer aspect of it and the hanging out is enough to outweigh the bad parts of the game that I just don't care
and
for.
Not only is it cross play, but you can add friends to your friends list that are cross play as well, which is really cool. So I think that's really neat.
More games need to do what Crystal Chronicles has done. Absolutely.
Yep, I agree.
I've also been playing Mario 3D All-Stars. Just a little bit of that.
Oh yeah, I played a little bit of that too. Yep.
I've got like 10 stars on Mario 64. I've got about the same number of stars on Mario Sunshine. And Galaxy, I've only barely played it a little bit because that one's most recent in my mind. Yeah. So I wanted to go back and revisit those old ones, especially Sunshine. Sunshine is probably my favorite one of the bunch. I think for nostalgia reasons is the biggest reason. Mario 64 was revolutionary, and it was so unique when it came out, and it still pretty much is. And I still appreciate that game quite a bit. And I plan on beating it. I never owned a 64 when I was younger, so I would always play it at my friend's house. And so I definitely want to get into that game and finally beat it for the first time.
Sure.
I've already beaten Sunshine back when it came out, but man, as soon as I started playing that game, I couldn't put it down. It was so addictive. Those Mario games they're so well done.
Sunshine's the only one I haven't beaten.
It's a hard game, man. There was one of the do you know the little challenge dungeons that you find in that game where
it's been so long. I haven't played it since it was on the GameCube, so I've only played Mario 64 on this one.
It's just like Mario 64. You know how in Mario 64 you'll get into a challenge area and it's basically a platformer.
Yeah. Okay.
And so Sunshine does the same thing, and they'll strip the water tank off of your back, and you just operate as Mario. And it's really, really tough because it's a lot of moving platforms and things that you gotta. It's just a straight platformer, and you will fall a lot. I was playing through one of them, and the kids were watching me play it, and they were amazed that at my dedication, determination to get through that level. They said, "Why don't you just skip it and go to something else?" I was like, "I'm not skipping until I get this damn star. I'm gonna get this star."
Kids, Daddy plays Dark Souls. All right, this is nothing. Thank you.
Exactly, dude. I appreciate a good challenge in a game, and that game definitely offers it. It doesn't come without its faults, though. I mean, the camera sucks. I don't remember the camera being as bad as it is, especially in 64 and Sunshine.
Well, 64, the main reason is because they had to convert it from the C buttons to a control stick. And so it's really, really awkward. I brought it over to a friend's house, and I didn't play Sunshine or Galaxy, but she did. And that I told her flat out from the beginning when she tried Mario 64 at first, I was like, all right, first thing you're going to want to do, because you're used to playing games, is you're going to want to move that camera with that, right analog stick.
Yep.
Don't do that. Just leave it alone. Sure enough, within 15 seconds, she had pushed up on it, got zoomed into first person view, and it's like, how do I get out of this? What am I doing? What is going on? So I was like, I told you don't touch that button. So yeah, that's definitely something that takes a little getting used to. But Mario 64 is one of, if not my favorite Mario game of all time. I absolutely
definitely. Dude, I remember when that game came out, and I didn't have a Nintendo 64. I only wanted a Nintendo 64 for that game. And I tried my damnedest to find anything similar on PlayStation, and it just didn't exist. It was in a league of its own at that time. And it's so good, and it still holds up today, which is even more amazing. The last game I've been playing, and this is probably my favorite game of the bunch, is Hades. So I just picked that up Sunday. I remembered that it was coming out. I'm a big fan of Supergiant games because of Bastion. Bastion is a wonderful game. Transistor, I couldn't get into Transistor. I don't want to say it's a bad game, but it didn't do it for me. It
wasn't for you.
Yeah, and I gave up on it early. So I've been looking forward to Hades, and I didn't realize that it came out. And I got online and found a review for it, and found out that it was out now. So I went and I listened to the review. The review is like speaking very highly for the game. So I went ahead and downloaded it, and man, I can't put that game down. It's just incredibly addictive. It's a roguelike game. So it's like the closest game I can think of to compare it to is Rogue Legacy, if you've ever played that.
I know it, but I haven't played it.
Okay, so Rogue Legacy is just it's a 2D platformer.
Yeah.
And you collect gear and things, and each one of your runs, you collect something else that's going to help improve your character for the next run. It's almost Dark Souls-ish in that sense as well. So Hades is operated the exact same way. You're just going from room to room to room, fighting hordes of enemies, bosses, collecting stuff. Each room has something else, another piece of currency that you could use to upgrade your character, or upgrade your room in your house, or upgrade your weapon, or all these different things that make you stronger.
Right.
And some of them are permanent and some of them are temporary. So you also collect gold, and the gold is temporary. It only works while you're in the dungeon. Your ultimate goal, you're basically the son of Hades, and your goal is to get out of the underworld. You want to break free, but it's difficult to get out of the underworld. So that's kind of the premise of the game. And you've got all the Olympus gods that are helping you. So everybody is pitching in to give you different abilities and things to help you through. And man, it's just, the combat is so well done. It feels good. It's responsive. It's one of those games that when you mess up, you messed up because you messed up, not because the game messed up. It's just that well fine-tuned. And it's just incredibly addictive. Like every time I finish a level and I die, and I'm like, it's not crushing. It's not crushing because I know I can go back to the next and try it again with upgraded gear, and it'll make it just that much easier. And it's just, it's that progression that I love. I highly recommend Hades for anybody who's even remotely interested in it. I'm amazed that it's kind of taking precedence over all the other games I've been playing lately. So, and I don't see it going away. I really like it. It's another one of those games where I can just pick up, play for about 15 minutes, put it down, and then come back and try again later. You know,
On the Switch?
It's good for small spurts. Yeah, on the Switch. I don't know if it came out on any other system. It probably did, but I bought it on the Switch.
Supergiant,
and
I
right
would
now,
imagine it did. At least PC, no?
Yeah, and PS4, because Transistor, I think, was for a while PS4 exclusive.
I think you're right.
I know it's kind of late. This episode is probably going to come out, but it's on sale right now too for $20. Regular price is $25. So it's definitely worth
That's not a
both
huge
of
difference,
those prices.
but
Yeah.
Cool. Interesting.
All right, man. That's all I've been playing. Let's get into this.
Sweet. What are we talking about again? I don't even remember. I don't gameplay versus story.
That's right. So I'm going to ask you. Why don't you start us off? Because I've got my opinion here, but I want to hear yours.
All right. You might think that considering I love RPGs and that I had a podcast that was devoted to story-focused gaming for like 4 years and that the most cherished games that I have in my collection that I love the most are ones that have a heavy focus on story, that I would say story is more important than gameplay. However, no. I think gameplay is much more important than story.
I'm surprised. I was expecting I was expecting some sort of like I was going to play devil's advocate with you, but
no. Most people are surprised when I say that. So you agree?
Oh, definitely. Oh,
yeah,
definitely.
Because it comes down to one simple argument. I can play a game that has great gameplay and a garbage story or a story that's non-existent. I can play Tetris because it's really fun and it's got great gameplay, no story whatsoever.
Yep.
It's a lot harder for me to play a game that has an amazing story, but the gameplay is absolute garbage. Case in point, Unlimited Saga. I cannot stand that game because of the freaking gameplay in it. It is horrible. And I've been told by people who have, played it and finished it, you just don't understand it. You have to get it too well. I was like, I don't want to understand it, because I played it for like 20 minutes and I thought it was garbage and I hated it. But when I first got it, I picked it up because I read the character bios and I was like, this is really cool. And I'm super excited to learn more about this in the world. And I like the Saga series and I can't wait to get into it. No, I will tell you gameplay is more important till the cows come home, because it is, without good gameplay, you're just not having fun. Like you may as well just be reading a book, quite frankly, at that point, because then at least you're getting a story without the negative aspect of having to put up with crappy gameplay. Mario, Paper Mario, the new one, had some really bad gameplay moments in there, but for the most part, like I was able to finish it because it didn't overshadow everything, if that makes sense. I don't know. It was really, really frustrating. I almost lost it because of the gameplay, even though I really enjoyed the story, quite frankly, and I love the characters and the dialogue and everything like that. Those battles, though, they drug it down for me. Every time another one would come up, I'd roll my eyes and be like, "Oh God, can we just please get this over with?"
Yeah.
That's where I stand. Yes.
I agree with you 100% on that. And I mean, if you think about it, a video game is a game. I'm coming to play a video game because I want to enjoy experiencing, controlling my character and being part of that gameplay experience.
Yep.
Everything else supports the gameplay, story, graphics. What else? Those are the two big ones, I guess. Music, art, all of that. They support the gameplay, the controls.
Well, I would argue music probably supports the story a little more, unless it's a game like what's the Beat one?
Luminous.
No, they made a Zelda one.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Hyrule something or other.
Cadence of Hyrule.
Cadence of Hyrule.
Yeah.
I know what you're talking about.
I think for the most part, the music is there to enhance the story and the emotion.
Or any rhythm game for that matter. I mean,
yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Rhythm games are a huge. I love rhythm games of all kinds. I always have since Paul Rappa. Yeah, I mean, it could go both ways, but when I sit down to play a game, the most annoying thing, especially if I'm playing a new game, the most annoying thing to me is when they give me a huge narrative dump before I even get to take control of my character, or I have to sit through walls of dialogue and story before I even get to see, what the meat of the game is. um, it's almost as bad as like forced tutorials, like whenever you get into a game and all they want to do is teach you how to play the game. It's like, I'll figure it out, just let me play the damn game. I get so frustrated with that, and if they drag it out too much, I will almost always stop and not go back to it. For that matter, I mean, like, most of the games that I play because they're fun, and if they can immerse me in that experience through that fun factor, um, and incorporate the story. Like, a lot of times, story can be a driving force for
Sure.
getting from point A to point B, much like character progression, like I was talking about in Hades. The story doesn't really drive that for me. It's the character progression. But games like Death Stranding, for instance, that game, the story was what was pushing me through, at least in the first 10 or so hours. When they, that game is
Did
notorious.
you have the flip like I did?
Yes. I went from almost quitting that game to really loving it after I got over that hump. And that hump was
that game
them
is a
unlocking.
Perfect example of that.
Yeah, it is. That hump is them unlocking more gameplay mechanics to help my experience throughout. And then once they gave those to me, the game became a lot more fun to play. And then the story kind of took a back seat after that. It wasn't as important to me as it was in the beginning. And the only reason it was important to me in the beginning is because I wanted to know what the heck was going on. Like, everything was confusing, but it was intriguing enough to keep me going. Another thing, like Dark Souls, for instance, I know I always come back to Dark Souls, but Dark Souls is a very good example of gameplay versus story. There is a story there. I don't really understand it. I don't really care to understand it. That's not important to me.
Yep.
I care about the gameplay.
Yep.
And it's just, I care about the new places I'm going to see, the new enemies I'm going to encounter, the new items I'm going to find, my character progression, all of that stuff matters to me way more. That's the things that keep me going. Games that are heavily story driven are generally a turnoff for me. So anything from Telltale, anything like that, I don't generally enjoy those. The games on the Vita, Vita's got a lot of novel type stories. There's a name for that genre, and I can't remember what it's called. But like Danganronpa, for instance, is one of those.
I know, yeah.
And
I've
like
tried visual
those
novels or something like that, right?
Yeah.
Something like that.
There are some puzzle elements to those games, but it's in between a lot of story. And and I, at that point, I would rather watch it on the TV than play it in a game, because I will bail out quicker on a game.
The Telltale, like, I haven't played like Danganronpa or and very many visual novels in general. But I like the Telltale games. Honestly, it's obviously it's not the gameplay that drives me in that. It is the story and the gameplay aspects that are there. I think had such an emotional impact on me. And when I say gameplay mechanics, I mean just the decisions you're making, because you were literally dictating how the story is going to unfold. And while for the most part, it's going to be the same, the same beginning, middle, and end, you've got little choices here and there that affect like which characters are going to be there at this point or which ones are not going to be there at this point. And so that's what kept me driving forward in that. And I think it was because the gameplay wasn't bad. It was just kind of there. So it wasn't a turnoff, if that makes sense. It didn't like, I didn't go like, God, I can't get through this because the gameplay is just so horrid. It was more just like, okay, now I got to run over and grab this item and drag it over here. Okay, we're back to just reading stuff and listening to people talk again. It kind of got in the way a little bit, but it wasn't enough to deter me. And the story was just so good. And like I said, the biggest gameplay quote mechanic that I appreciated and loved in that game was the decision making. And good Lord, if those games didn't just gut me so many times. It was unbelievable. And the character progression from one to the next. Excuse me. Have you played any of them beyond the first one?
No. I
So the
played
first,
halfway through the second one, but I
okay.
gave up.
So the first game, Clementine, I could not stand. I was not a fan of her. I just like, I really liked Lee as the main character, and I was like, this guy's great and stuff. I think
Lee
this
was
little
a
girl
great
is,
character.
yeah, Clementine was just a little over the top for me, and I didn't think the voice
Yeah.
acting was very good. And I was just like, I get it. She's a scared little girl, but it's like, it gets to a point where it's like, okay, like we get it. She's a frightened little child. We know you don't have to keep reminding us over and over and over again.
Right.
When you get to like the second game, she's not a huge character up until like halfway through, or a little bit further on. But the third game, she's easily by far and away the best character in, quite frankly, the whole series. She is spectacular and great, and it's really, really cool. Just the writing in general is just, oh my god, I just love it. So I realize that's like a little bit of a tangent, but I know you brought that up, so I was like, I gotta defend the series a little bit because I really, really enjoyed them. But I totally understand where you're coming from, because it's those are story focused. There's not a lot of gameplay there, and if you're looking for a gameplay experience, it's not going to be something where you're like, I can't wait to get back in and try these mechanics. No, it's not like that at all. So
the most annoying part of those games to me is like walking from point A to point B just to carry on the story.
Yes,
and
agreed. 100%.
I that's why I'm of the mindset that I'd rather just watch it. But I do agree with you. Those decision making things really make the experience more catered to your style. Makes you feel more part of the story. But I think if you're going to do that, then cut out the nonsense of walking around. And I don't feel the need to have to explore in that game.
Feels like a chore.
There's not really much to see. Yeah, exactly. And I think that's why I gave up halfway through the second episode. I did enjoy the story, though. The story in the first game was great. The story in the second game I didn't think was as good, but I was still into it.
Yeah.
And it just got to a point where I was just like, I don't know. I wasn't in the mood for it anymore. I'd rather play something else that I'm more engaged with.
It's not like other games, so yeah.
No, it's not. But I mean, you can also talk about some other heavy story games. I mean, like, you and I are both major JRPG fans. All of those games, or well, the vast majority of those games are going to be very heavily story driven. Mm-hmm. And that aspect that I was talking to you about, where they give you that story dump at the beginning of the game, is something that usually turns me off. But if I can get past it, then I'll find a rewarding experience there. Case in point, Persona 4 Golden. That game has a huge story dump at the beginning of it, and you don't get to play the game for.
I was not a fan of that beginning, but then it ended up being really good. Yeah,
I am glad that I stuck it out, and probably the biggest reason why I stuck it out was because the Vita was a new system for me at the time, and that was really the only game I had on it, so I was able to devote my attention to it. Once I got past that and experienced what the gameplay was, that game just I started caring about the story, and I started caring about the characters, and everything started falling in place because I enjoyed going to the dungeons. I enjoyed the battle mechanics where the enemies have weaknesses and you have to know what kind of attack to do against what enemies. And I enjoyed going back to school and learning, talking to your friends and stuff like that. That part of it.
It's addicting. Oh my god.
Yeah,
so
I enjoyed that.
Persona, all three of the ones that I played, which is 3, 4, and 5, it got me to a point where I was just like, all right, one more day. All right, I can do just one more day. All right, just one more. And then 4 hours later, oh god. Yeah, it's crazy.
They once they grab you, it's hard to let go.
Yeah.
That's a good one. I mean, like the Final Fantasies, man. Like
Final Fantasy does a good job in the beginning with they always like a few of the earlier games do have a story dump, but they're accompanied by gameplay. Like Final Fantasy IV, perfect example, has a scrolling text after you do a few things where you're watching a battle unfold and you're walking around a castle talking to people and learning a little bit about the city of Baron and who Cecil is and the Red Wings and all this stuff. So after you've played for 15, 20 minutes or so, then you get scrolling text and an intro, and then you hop right into it. And I think mixing it up like that is a lot better than just, as you said, just a text dump and then that's it.
Yeah. Well, even like all of them really are good at putting you right into the heat of it. Like Final Fantasy VII is a great example. You get that awesome opening cinematic, and then you get a few lines of dialogue, and then you're playing. Yeah, you're in it. Like they throw you right into it. I appreciate games that put you into the battle system, into the gameplay first. Make me care about that part first, then give me the story. Because I'm in it for this gameplay, and if I'm not enjoying the gameplay, then I'm not going to waste my time. Yep. Another game like Hades is another one that does a great job of this. I started that game, and then they immediately threw me in and said, "Go kill some things." And I got a feel for the combat immediately, and that's all it took for me to really enjoy it. And it's got story sprinkled throughout. There's characters that you interact with as you're going through, but first of all, they're optional. Second of all, they have very quick. They're gonna. There's like 2 dialogue boxes. They'll say something, you'll say something. They might respond or not, and then that's it. And then you go to the next person. I like that. Like I'm more engaged with that story because it's not so heavy, But there's also games that are balancing the storyline and the gameplay really well. I would say some of the AAA games like God of War, Spider-Man, The Last of Us. Not Part 2. I can't speak on that one because I haven't played it. But also like the Uncharted games. Any AAA game like that. Ghost of Tsushima, I'm sure. Those games, I know that they have a very strong narrative, but that narrative only supports the gameplay, which is the real meat and bones of the game.
Yeah.
I think that's why they're successful.
I honestly, like you said, Spider-Man, but I quite frankly thought the story in that game was garbage. I didn't care.
I really liked it.
I'm not a big superhero guy. I mean, I think it's fun, but it's not like, that's why I haven't picked up the Avengers or anything like that. I'm just kind of like, it's neat, I guess. I guess maybe I'm a little superheroed out. But the gameplay, again, in Spider-Man, that's what drove me, was because I just wanted to keep playing. I wanted to unlock stuff. I wanted to get that platinum trophy. I wanted to keep playing because swinging around the city like Spider-Man was really cool. But as soon as I did another mission, I'd be like, I don't even remember what just happened before, and now we're doing this. Okay, yeah, I'm supposed to beat this guy up. Let's do that. And that's literally what was in my mind the whole time. I just wanted to play the game and swing around like Spider-Man. That was it. I hated the when you weren't playing as Spider-Man and you were just walking around as one of the other characters or something. I could not stand those scenes. Those were just awful for me.
The stealth stuff, it was super.
Yeah, but knowing I was going to get to go back to being Spider-Man, I was okay with it, and I pushed it on through. I saying the story is garbage is a little harsh. I apologize. I didn't mean garbage, but
I was just about to call you heartless, man.
It was.
You didn't cry at the end of that game?
Yeah, of course I didn't. It didn't. This is no Final Fantasy VI opera scene. Come on now. No, it literally, like, I just wasn't really, it wasn't the focus for me. I just was having too much fun playing. That honestly raises an interesting question. Can gameplay be so good as to the fact that you don't even care about the story? And if there is a good narrative, in a case like this, like you're saying, you thought it was good, could that maybe hurt it in some way, having too good of gameplay?
Having too good of gameplay that it would hurt the story?
That you completely ignore the story and you don't even get to sit back and appreciate what's going on. Well, like, would you say I robbed myself in that game because I didn't pay attention to the story and I didn't?
Oh, no, okay. Definitely not. The story, I mean, the gameplay in that game was absolutely the driving point.
Yeah.
But I did appreciate the story. I think the story, had it not had the story, I think I still would have been okay with it. But I did enjoy the story, and I think it was implemented well. It was I mean, we've heard all the Spider-Man stories at this point, so nothing's really new or original anymore. But I still think they found a way to put some things in there that were a little bit shocking, and it worked for me. Even with my son, Owen played through that game and beat it. He was telling me all about the story. He was really into the storyline just as much as the gameplay. So I think it hit us both in the same way.
That's good.
But in terms of like, I mean, I already mentioned Dark Souls. That's the game where I could give two shits about the excuse me. I could care less about
No, I'm right there with
the
you.
story. You know, it's all about the gameplay for me.
I
But
mean, you
there
saw
are
my
games.
review. That's the first thing I mentioned. Was like the story is something about how you're like in a place where you're dead and you can switch back and forth between being a human. I don't know. You fight big guys. They're really tough.
Yeah. There is a pretty interesting story there. And if you cared enough to go watch some YouTube videos or something where somebody does actually piece things together for you, it's actually a pretty cool story.
Given the visuals and the environments and the monster designs, there has to be some pretty amazing lore behind that. I think if you get a chance. Yeah.
I would recommend, there's a podcast called Bonfire Side Chat or something like that, where they take a deep dive into the Dark Souls games, and it's a pretty long series. I recommend checking that out if you haven't. But also, what games do you think the story hurt the gameplay? Because I know there's some games out there, and I can't think of any off the top of my head, but I know there's been a time or two where I'm like, this story is just absolutely garbage. Can I just skip it? Like, it's ruining the game for me.
I mean, it's going to be like super menial games like Tetris and Puyo Puyo. That game is so much fun.
Yes.
But then you start playing and you start like getting into these characters talking to each other, and it just goes on and on and on. And it's like, just let me do the battle already. Come on, let me play the
Dude,
game.
I had that same impression when I played that game. That's a good one. Really good one. I would argue that the Avengers game, the storyline sucks in that. Basically, I mean, they've already done the Avengers storyline, and then now there's another big threat to take over the world, and all the Avengers have been disbanded, and the world's against them. Is like, yeah, I've seen this before. I really don't want to see it again.
Just out of curiosity, side question on that, with regards to that game, you said that people can just jump in and join you like Destiny style,
right?
Can you, like, two people be the same hero?
I don't think so.
Oh, okay.
I think you're limited to, like, you unlock characters as you progress, and so if you choose a character, then anybody that joins you has to choose another character.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I've never seen two of the same character in a match, so I'm assuming that you can.
Interesting.
But the storyline sucks. It really does. Like, it's one of those things where it's like, I don't care. Let's go. I want to go fight some more. Yeah. I don't think it's very well implemented. And there's sections of that game where you are in a base and you have to walk around and talk to people and stuff. And it's like, I don't care. Let's go. Can we move on? There's a lot of games that I play that do that. And to a certain extent, if they do it too much to me, I'm going to put it down and I'm going to move on to the next.
It's understandable.
Yeah. There's one airplane. I guess Paper Mario fits into that mold a little bit.
I don't think that series is for me. I have beaten the first one, the original. I played Thousand Year Door earlier this year, and I have heard people talk about how amazing that game is. And quite frankly, I played it and I was like, I just don't know if this is for me. And again, I think it came down to the battle system. I just don't think they know how to design good battle systems in those games. Right. And that was, pretty fairly standard turn-based too. And they kind of still, like, maybe it was because you only got 2 party members, and I just wanted another Super Mario RPG, man. Like, it's so frustrating. And this one, just the Origami King is what we're talking about. If somebody's listening to this like 4 years from now and they're like, which Paper Mario are they talking about? But that battle system is just awful. It's a slog. And I just don't know that the game itself I finished all 3 of those, and I will work my way through Sticker Star at some point. But I just don't know that I'm ever going to hold the Paper Mario series up to, this level of esteem that some people seem to, especially like, Thousand Year Door. I was very disappointed with that game, just because I was so bored while playing it. I just wanted to get it over with. So, it is what it is. Did I lose you? I may have lost you. Oh, there you are.
I'm back. I
Well,
got
I was
dropped.
talking, and yeah, I have all the audio and video, so we should be good. It'll be fine.
Okay. um, did you hear me say that game is bad? Don't waste your time.
Which one?
Sticker Star.
Oh, no, I didn't hear you say that. But I think I
Okay.
have heard you say that to me before. Yeah.
Sticker Star is I don't think it was my first Paper Mario, but I did pick that up and start playing it and did not like it at all. And I traded it in like pretty quick after I played
Oh,
it.
wow. I want to
Yeah, I
try
didn't like that.
like you said, you tried the Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga. I really want to try those.
I think you'll like it. The storyline is decent in those, and you got Luigi with you. And there's no turn-based battle system. Yes there is. Yes there is. But it's a engaging battle system.
Is there like the timed hits and stuff still?
Yes, but
I don't like that.
Yeah, it's there. You got to push buttons at the right time. So they'll have team attacks where you got to alternate between pushing B and A, and they'll jump off of each other's heads and stuff. And then you got to time, like the enemies will come up to you, and then when they're up to you, they'll start moving in, and you got to either jump up and at the right time and jump on them to counter them, or you can hit them with your hammer. It's similar in a lot of ways to Paper Mario, but I think it's better. It's done better.
Okay. I mean, I still want to try it for sure, but yeah, I'm not a fan of the timed hits and that aspect of the gameplay in those. And I think that's a personal thing because I love turn-based combat. I love like ATB style, that kind of thing, and I love that it is mindless. I love that I can just sit there and grind while just pushing one button and doing that. And I know that that's like a lot of people are going to be like, that's not engaging. It's just boring. You're not doing anything. Why even play? Like I can't explain it. It's a nostalgic thing, where that's what I grew up with. That's how I grinded on games. And I just love that style where I can do that. And I feel like I'm making progress going through, and, you still have to heal and make sure you don't die and that kind of thing. It's one of the reasons I'm so into the Dragon Quest series is they have not changed much with their formula, as they've moved forward. And I just love that. So I love grinding in those games, especially nowadays where I can play it on handheld while I'm, watching TV or something like that. It's just, I just prefer that. And I know I'm in the minority on that. But if I'm going to have turn-based combat, I don't want it to be super engaging, if that makes sense. If I'm going to have engaging combat, it better be like Dark Souls style, or like Nier, or Zelda, that kind of a thing where I'm action and I'm like going crazy with sword fights and that kind of thing. I don't want it in between. I'm not a fan of that, which is kind of ironic because I loved Final Fantasy VII Remake's combat, and that is absolutely in between. So that's probably just the FF fanboy in me. So I don't know. I'm willing to acknowledge that as well. So I don't know, man. I don't know where I'm going with this. Shoot, get off me. Come on now. Dang.
Well, I'm glad to see that we're in agreement here, and I would venture to say that most people would probably say the same thing. I think there's a minority of people who might think that the story is more important, but either way, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, your play style is your play style. You play the way you like to play. So just because something doesn't work for somebody else doesn't mean it can't work for you.
Yep.
And so, yeah, gameplay trumps all, man, for sure. I like it.
What game should I review next on my channel?
Man, you've played so many games, it's hard to say. I'm
thinking I might do Cyberpunk once it comes out.
Cyberpunk looks so good. Actually, Cyberpunk comes out like a week after the new consoles come out, and it's not coming out on the new consoles. I find that very, very odd.
I imagine we'll eventually see it pop up on there, though.
Oh, I know we will, but it just seems odd that they're not.
I agree. Yeah, that is very odd.
Did you get any pre-orders in?
For consoles?
Yeah.
Hell no. No, I'm not. There's no reason for me to pre-order any of those. I have no interest in getting a new console yet. Literally, the only thing I'm interested in at this point for what's going to be out at launch is the menus and the system that you watch when you like load up and stuff. So the interface is what I'm looking for. I think I may have lost you because your face is all blurry and you're looking kind of off to the side right now. So I'm talking to myself again. Hi. How we doing, everybody? Audio listeners, if you're watching right now, and I don't know what to tell you, but
I see
your
you. I
face
see
is
you.
back now. Okay, all right. So I
Yeah,
started to go off on a little tangent, but I kind of found my way back to you since your face is back now, and here we are. We're talking. We're moving along. We're having a good time.
we're
All right.
here. We're
What's on
here.
your mind, Adrian?
Dude, this episode is going to be really fun to edit. I can tell you that.
Yeah.
We've dropped out a few times already and had a couple interruptions. My audio stopped recording at some point. I don't think I missed very much, but I've got it taken care of now. So, like I said, this is going to be a fun one to edit.
Oh boy.
I wanted to tell you, because I am a sucker and I didn't. I know I said I wasn't going to pre-order anything on our last episode, but the fact that everybody wants one and they're hard to get really drove me to see if I could get one. I ended up ordering both consoles.
Both. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Whew.
So I actually, the PS5, I had already convinced myself before when they did that last video announcement, where they're getting ready to put the pre-orders up. I'd convinced myself at that point that I'm getting one simply because of Demon's Souls remake.
For you, that's completely fair and understandable. Yeah.
That was the thing that I needed to say, okay, I'm going to go ahead and do this. So I went ahead and did it. And it was actually surprisingly easy. I know everybody is having issues getting it. I did not have any problems. And I'm shocked that I didn't. But as soon as I saw it posted up on Twitter, Cheap Ass Gamer or Warrior 64, I don't remember which one I saw it on. I clicked the link, logged into my Walmart account. I did it through Walmart, placed my order, and I was done. I mean, it took me like 2 or 3 tries of refreshing the page, but that's it. And I was able to get the pre-order in.
Cool.
The Xbox, though. So what happened with that is I was going through, it was one of those things, man, where I was like, I'm not going to get one, but I'm going to try. If I get it, cool. If I don't get it, I don't care. But I at least want to try to see if I can get it. I almost took it as a challenge, and I got one. I got one through Best Buy.
I showed them, take that $500 out of my pocket. Oh, dang it.
You take that money out of that money that I don't have. I'm going through my collection right now, trying to figure out how I'm going to come up with $1,000 by November. I've got a lot of double consoles. Dude, I've got so many consoles that I can get rid of that I've just accumulated over the years.
You have any Game Gears?
Funny story I could tell you about as well. Yes, I do. I have 2, but broke one.
That's one that I want as a Game Gear. Wanted it for a while.
I have one. Yeah. Anyway, I'll tell you about that here in a second. But I went on to Best Buy. Actually, I had Microsoft page up. I had Best Buy page up. I had Walmart. I had Target. I had all of them up. I had myself logged into every one of them. And I was like, I'm going to get one just to say that I got one, And it was frustrating. It took a lot of refreshing and a lot of patience, but I was able to eventually get one through Best Buy. So
it's going to collect so much dust.
Yeah, well, here the thing is like with the Xbox, the kids are going to play it. Like I told you before, the Games Pass is something that's really important.
And both consoles are going to have themes before the Switch.
Themes?
Yeah. You know what I'm talking about?
No.
Okay, you have PS4 themes?
Yeah.
Like on your interface?
Oh, yeah.
Everybody's been asking for those on the Switch since it came out, and there's still no sign of them doing that at all. Not even crazy, like color changes or anything. It's so frustrating.
It took them a long time to get themes on the 3DS, so I'm not too surprised. But I've been wanting to upgrade to the Xbox One X for a while because I have a launch Xbox One.
Yeah.
Just because, we got a 4K TV in the living room. I thought it would look better. And it does look a lot better when you have a 4K system. I have a PS4 Pro, and it's a lot better looking. So I figured, well, I can get this Xbox Series X. We can have the Games Pass. They're also putting the EA Access as part of the Games Pass, which is another huge incentive. And I figured, well, I can get that, keep paying for that Games Pass, and my kids are happy. All the games that they like to play are on the Games Pass. So I'm essentially thinking about it as that's their console. The PS4 or PS5 is my console.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's how I'm going to
There
go.
you go. That's cool.
But on the Game Gear. So I have 2 Game Gears, and I got them both at a garage sale a few years ago. I paid like $5 total for them, dude. It was crazy. One of them worked, but the other one did not. And a common problem with those Game Gears is the capacitors tend to leak over time, and you have to go in and actually replace the capacitors or find the problem capacitor and replace that one. Typically,
Well,
what
you don't want to leak a capacitor.
Heck no, man. I mean, then your console doesn't work.
But I trust you.
I don't know what a capacitor does, to be completely honest with you, but I do know that it's important for you have to have it in order for the console to work.
Fair enough.
What people do a lot of times is they'll just replace all the capacitors, and unless you have the equipment that you need to test them, which I don't. There's probably in the system, I don't know, 15 to 20 capacitors that you got to replace. There's quite a few, and they're all soldered in. There's a positive and a negative solder.
Oh God!
So it's a job, and I went ahead and took the one that wouldn't come on at all, took it apart, and I ordered a capacitors kit from eBay. It was like $6. Got them all in. They're all labeled, so I can't mess it up. And I was like, everything was going smooth, and I got about half of them in, and then one of them, I was trying to solder it down and it wasn't sticking. And turns out there's a plate there that the solder sticks to. And if you heat it up too much, the glue adhesive that holds that plate down comes up. And I don't know what happened to it. It came up and I can't find it and I can't put it down. Therefore, I can't solder the capacitor down to the board, rendering the thing useless. And I'm sure somebody could fix it, but I can't. And I don't want to at this point. I'm done. So I ended up just tossing it in the trash, which sucks. It didn't. I mean, it was a gamble.
Like you paid a bunch
it wasn't.
For it, so.
I didn't pay a lot for it, and it was already broken. So I was trying to get it operational. But I will keep my eye open for a Game Gear. I don't see them very often.
I don't either. I thought maybe Pink Gorilla actually would have them. No, they didn't.
Honestly, if you're gonna get one, I would recommend getting one that's already had the caps replaced. Don't buy one that hasn't, because more often than not, if it's not broken yet, it's going to break.
Yeah.
It's just like the Virtual Boy. The Virtual Boy has a similar problem. There's an adhesive on the cable strap. I think I told you this already once before. And that comes up over time, rendering the thing pretty much useless. So you have to go in and either resolder it or glue it down.
Right.
So it's just one of those trouble systems. So if you want to get one, I would recommend just go ahead and
I like it because it's got great battery life.
You're a funny guy, JJ.
Man, I remember that thing was just awful. Like when it came to battery life.
6 batteries,
Good
man.
Lord.
6
yeah.
batteries.
And it would last, 3 hours tops, if that?
It's insane. Like I knew a kid in school who had one, and we went to his house. He never had batteries in the thing. It was always plugged into the wall. So it was kind of a weird, useless thing at that point. I mean, it's not really portable at that point.
Yeah.
But I was always jealous of it because you're playing a freaking Sonic the Hedgehog game on a handheld system. I was blown away by
compared to the Game Boy, that looked amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. I never understood why anybody would want a Game Boy over Game Gear. You know, I was just completely sold on the Game Gear. Well, I didn't realize how many batteries it took, and I didn't realize how short the batteries lasted.
It was brutal.
There's reasons why.
Well, I mean, you got anything else to say about gameplay versus story? I think we, kind of gave our pieces, and we're on the same page. So,
yeah, no, I think I exhausted that topic there. At least what I have my thoughts on.
Next month we are going to be talking about music in gameplay and how it can enhance the music in gameplay, music in video games, and how it can enhance. In what ways it can enhance a game, because there are several, and I'm excited because music is a major part for me, major factor. I'm
very excited about that one too. Yeah, that's one of those things that I didn't really realize until later on how important of a role music played to me in my experience with games. I don't think I appreciated it, or at least I didn't I may have appreciated it, but I didn't acknowledge that appreciation until later on.
I can tell you my story of how I met Nobuo Uematsu.
Shut up.
I
For
did.
real?
Yeah, I got his autograph, and I made a fool out of myself. So tune in next time to hear about that.
Oh, that's cool, man.
It's not like super bad, but it's like I look back on it now and I'm just like, oh, idiot, stupid, god dang it, so dumb. Yeah.
That is super cool, though. That is really cool. But this is also going to be part of some other podcasts that we would like to do where we talk about different aspects of games.
Yep.
So this one's going to be music. We're going to do one over graphics. We're going to do one over, art styles, I guess, is part of that graphics. And then some other things, but we have some plans for upcoming episodes.
And I'm gonna put you on the spot. In December, for December's episode, we are going to be talking about Xenogears, my second favorite game of all time, and Adrian's gonna have it beaten by then.
Pressure. Ah!
So you were on the spot.
That's
gonna
be tough, man.
But
you're gonna do this to me
as well. I'm gonna finish it as well. As soon as I finish whatchamacallit, Ghost of Tsushima, which I'm finishing this week, I'm gonna be hopping right into Xenogears. So
I would like to have it finished before the new consoles come out. I have a feeling I'm going to be playing a ton of Demon Souls when that comes out.
I don't blame you because that game looks bonkers incredible.
It looks good, man. It really does look good.
So
I'm excited.
Okay, so tune in next month to hear about music and what we think about that. And I'm excited. And Adrian's excited. You all should be excited because why not? We're pretty damn awesome. That's just how it goes.
That's right.
I don't know why all of a sudden I turned into my sexy voice where I'm like toning it down a bit and telling you to listen to some cool jazz, but that's just the way things go sometimes.
Well, I think it's perfectly appropriate for the music episodes. So I want you to carry on that persona.
All right. Fair enough. Okay. All right. Well, with that, Adrian, you got any parting words?
I appreciate you all listening. And
any plugs?
If you need to find me on Twitter at Birdazoid, BIRDAZOID. JJ is on Twitter at JJ Santaniello, SANTIELLO.
Not even close.
Hold on. SAN. Go for it.
You never
plug it.
I never want to spell it. No.
You never plug it, so I'm going to do it. I was going to do it for you.
SANTANIELLO.
Oh, I forgot that part. Damn it.
The whole middle of the name? Yeah, you did forget that part.
Yeah. I get it now. I understand why you don't do it. Okay.
It just takes too long. It takes too long to get through. But yeah, and
also your YouTube channel again, YouTube Game Room Revival.
Yes, absolutely. Go check out my Dark Souls review. I'm pretty darn proud of it, all things considered. And I have a lot to say about the game. It was my longest review that I've done. By quite a bit, actually. I think most of mine have ended up coming in between 5 and 8 minutes. This one clocked in at 17. So it's it's longer than normal. But I had a lot to say. And it's just go watch it because it's I enjoyed making it.
I totally agree. And I would love to do another team review like we did for Parasite Eve. We need to pick a game for that.
Okay, we'll talk about it. I'm down.
Yeah,
100%.
Yeah. That would be fun. You got me to write down my thoughts of a game, and I've never done that before, and I really enjoyed doing that. So I'd be totally.
You got me to write down my thoughts on a game. You're welcome. I guess you can do that at any point. Nobody's stopping you from writing down your thoughts on a game.
Hey, if I don't have a purpose for doing it, why would I do it?
Fair enough. All right. Okay.
That was almost 2 years ago, mind you. That was a long time ago.
I know. We're due for another one for sure.
Yeah.
I would say Xenogears, but we're going to be doing a whole show dedicated to it, talking about it. So, we'll figure something out. Hell, maybe we'll just do Parasite Eve too. I don't know. We'll figure something out.
Hey, there you go. Not a bad idea.
We got to finish Xenogears first, though, because that is a whopper of a game. So let's
one thing at a time.
One thing at a time.
Come on, ADD Adrian. You can do it. Right. You can do it.
Do you have any parting words now for the second time? I'm repeating myself.
No.
Okay.
Step 4.
Good.
Keep.
Okay.
On gaming.
That's right.
Are we ready? Are we ready?
Well, I mean, I was just gonna say like, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff. You know the drill. The normal YouTube stuff. If you're going to the YouTube channel, if you're on the audio channel, go to the YouTube channel and like, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff. You know the drill. Yeah.
You know the
and plus
jargon.
you get to see our faces, and there may be some audio that you missed or video that you missed because we kept cutting out every now and then. And there was a little period where I talked to myself and looked at the camera directly, not knowing what was going on, kind of like what's happening right this second. We should probably cut it off because I'm going to just go off on another tangent. And guys, you ever thought about how cows just stand there in the middle of the field all day? Like, do they even like sleep at all, or do they sleep standing up? Is that kind of a thing? Somebody's going to tell me they sleep standing up. Thank you so much. Have a good night. Thanks for listening. And as always, keep on gaming!